people to be food secure, for them to be able to produce food not only to feed themselves, but to sell and make a living while at it. Through various stakeholders, this has revolved around the access to farm inputs, crop diversification, creation and access of markets, distribution channels for produce, and access to information. However, farmers are now having to deal with the continuous challenge of climate change.
Smallholder farmers in Kenya have been faced with a double whammy. They're dealing with the health crisis that's coming because of COVID-19. They're also trying to fight off the scourge of the desert locust.
On Wednesday, 22nd April 2020, the Nation Media Group will hold a live virtual Nation Leadership Forum from 7 p.m. on NTV. It shall delve into various issues that affect farmers and seek solutions into what is needed for Kenya to become a food-secure country. Nation Leadership Forum. Engaging society, impacting the nation.
For mind-blowing music and entertainment, just move to NTV.
FIFA has enlisted the help of 50 football stars to appreciate the efforts of healthcare workers on the front line of the COVID-19 pandemic in a campaign titled "We Will Win," just as you've just seen. In the same spirit, we all take a minute and give a round of applause to all the frontline workers. Caregivers, police, journalists, drivers, and many others. We appreciate each and every single person working around the clock to help curb this COVID-19 pandemic. We appreciate you all. My name is Joseph Warungu, and this is your world, a new normal that is changing by the day as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. As your normal routine is thrown off track and your home becomes a workplace, a school, and a training ground, we're here to work with you as you make the necessary adjustments. Today, we look at the huge impact of COVID-19 on the world of sport. Your views, comments, questions, and home videos are very welcome. You can reach us by phone, WhatsApp, or hashtag #NewNormal.
We are quarantined 14 days in the house, and we try to avoid contact.
Kenyan football superstar Michael Lunga in Japan speaks about the routine and measures they undertook while in quarantine. The famous Jaro soldier without football is now making Kogalo face masks. The Peruvian footballers come up with creative ways to train at home during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Us, with me and my fellow players.
Malkia strikers qualified to play in the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games, but the pandemic dashed their dream. What next for the Stars? Okay, let's move from your world for a moment to focus on the other world. And just before we get on to all of that, I just want to give you some of the latest figures that we have regarding COVID-19 infections. Let's look at the East African region first. In Tanzania, we've got 254 people tested positive. 10 people have died, and we've got 11 who have recovered. In Ethiopia, there are 108 positive cases. 3 people have died and 16 have made a full recovery. In Somalia, the cases stand at 164 confirmed positive. 7 people have died and 3 have recovered. In the other parts of the East African region, South Sudan, 4 people confirmed positive. No one so far has died and no one has been reported to have recovered. In Uganda, we've got 55 people who've tested positive, and then we've got no one has died, fortunately, and those recovered stand at 28. In Rwanda, the positive cases confirmed stand right now at 147. No one has been reported dead, with 76 recoveries. In Burundi, the other East African nation, 5 people confirmed positive, 1 person has died, and 4 people have recovered. And if I can just quickly look at the situation here in Kenya, we've got 13,872 people who've been tested. Out of those, 281 have been confirmed positive. There have been 14 people who've died so far, and 69 people have recovered. That's the situation around East Africa. And Tanzania President John Magufuli has called on citizens to turn to God to keep the economy turning. But as coronavirus cases creep up, as we've just mentioned, there are growing calls for the country to take stronger action.
Kama una duka fungua, kama ni mamalishe fanya, kama wewe ni transporter wa magari ni lazima uendelee kusafirisha. Na ndio maana ndugu zangu wa Tanzania, sikuzuia usafiri wa magari na vitu vingine kwenda mpakani.
Mimi naunga mkono kwa sababu hii nchi yetu ni maskini. Wakisema wafunge wananchi wasiende kufanya shughuli zingine, tutazidi kufa. Maana watu kipato chao mpaka watoke nje wapate riziki ndio warudi ndani.
Yaani Watanzania tofauti na ngozi nyeupe, Watanzania tuna asili fulani ya ukaidi. Yaani kama ugonjwa wa corona utaenea kwa spidi kubwa sana Tanzania, basi tutateketea sana.
Now in Egypt, the Great Pyramids lit up in blue with a message, "Stay home," projected on the Gaza Plateau outside the Egyptian capital, Cairo. This was on the World Heritage Day as the country continues to fight against the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic.
We came here to celebrate the World Heritage Day by putting some messages on the second pyramid. Stay home, stay safe, and experience Egypt soon. And we shared the 3 slogans of this World Heritage Day: shared cultures, shared heritage, and shared responsibility. we hosted at the same time a musical performance by singers from the Arab world, each one singing from his country, a hope and a joyful message from the Arab world to the humanity.
Now, it's business as usual in Malawi after the country's High Court on Friday temporarily barred the government from implementing a 21-day lockdown to curb the coronavirus, following a petition by a human rights group. The Human Rights Defenders Coalition argued that the government had failed to announce any measures to cushion the poor during the lockdown. And retired football player Didier Drogba and Alsafo, vocal lead of the group Magic System, hand out food and hygiene kits to 200 families in Abidjan as part of the fight against the coronavirus. This measure will be spread to thousands of families throughout Côte d'Ivoire in the coming weeks.
Nous nous réjouissons de votre présence en ce jour, la solidarité et de l'humanisme. Et le groupe Adoua n'a pas pour apporter en ce jour de l'espoir, de l'amour. Il y a un acteur majeur de la vie socio-économique de ce pays.
As we begin our special sports coverage this morning, we meet Kenya's national women volleyball team, Malkia Strikers. They won a place at the 2020 Olympic Games in the African Olympic qualifiers early in January. Malkia beat Egypt, Botswana, Cameroon and Nigeria as they jumped to grab a ticket for Tokyo. The 2020 Olympics has since been postponed until next year owing to the COVID-19 pandemic. We've been speaking to the team captain, Masimoim.
First of all, I want to say it was a shock, and in both of us, me and my fellow players, especially my club, kwa sababu most players wametoka different clubs, tumekuja pamoja, hiyo time ya kubond, ndio tulikuwa tunajaribu, and then after some months, nasikia hakuna like club championship, ilianza na club championship, tukaambiwa 20. And then next ikakuwa like hakuna league, then next government, so ilikuwa kama shock cause since nimecheza volleyball, hii ndio mara yangu ya kwanza kuona vitu inasuspendiwa abrupt tu hivyo, but for our health ni better kuzuia kuliko kuingia mahali ya tutakuwa ngumu kutoka. Kuna players wale wako national team na wako place hawana contract, so mimi ningeomba tu the government wasaidie, kwa sababu mtu volleyball ndio life yake yote, na saizi vile kila kitu imesimama, ana mbele ana wala nyuma, na ndakana alipa hao, ndakana food, wengine wako na family, so mimi ningeomba government na Olympic Committee waingilie kati, wasaidie volleyball swala hawana contract. Yeah, I think about training, tukona always obvious kuna WhatsApp groups kama ya volleyball, ya national team iko, ya clubs iko. So kila place tukona nini, kama national team coach Bitoka anatutumia ile vitu nitakana tufanye. Kama saizi niko na program ya leo, ningekuwa niko home, ningekuwa nimeanza program ya leo. Then kwa club tukona program ya club, so nitakana ufanye kila kitu pamoja. National team wanatuma, club wanatuma, then itabidi ufanye. But for me, mi huamka early in the morning like 5:30, and then nafanya like 30 minutes kwa nyumba, maybe sit-ups, nini vitu kidogo kidogo, and then natoka 6 naenda morning run like 1 hour, and then nirudi. After hiyo kurudi ndio naanza story ya hao. Kwanza ilikuwa ile uchungu. Umeona ile unajua tu after like 5 months naenda Olympics. And then unasikia wamepostpone mpaka after 1 year and some months. Hiyo kitu inakuanga uchungu sana. Kwa sababu wewe sijua ya kesho na ulikuwa umeplan. But tunajua Mungu alikuwa na sababu ifanyike hivyo, ndio tukua na hiyo time ya mazoezi. And then tena kuna wale wametoka shule to bond pamoja, wale juniors. Unajua junior ukitrain unaenda Olympics, na senior kuna ile bidii. So itasaidia juniors waingiana na senior sana. And then for us seniors, ile kusaidia junior afanye nini? Asa nini time ya mazoezi, work hard, akujelia karibu standard yako. And then pia itapatia coaches ile time ya kutrain team, ndio tuko pamoja. Kwa sababu sports team ndakana ile kukaa pamoja sana, si kidogo, ndakana ile sana, ndio wazoeane, and then your teamwork. Unajua sports team bila teamwork hakuna place mnaenda. So mimi naona hii Olympic imesongesha mpaka next year mwezi wa 7, itatupatia maybe like a 1 year training or a 1 year and some months training, which itasaidia kwa Kenya team. Si ile wanasema tu sisi tunaenda tu kwa sababu tumequalify. Hapana, hii 1 year tumepewa na some months ya training itatusaidia. But tuna hope corona iishe ndio tupatie time ya mazoezi. Yeah.
And this morning, as we focus on the impact of COVID-19, what impact it's had on the world of sports, we've got an array of stars and guests who will join me throughout the morning. In the studio, we've got Peter Nduhio, who is a sports physiotherapist and who also is a physio for Eliud Kipchoge. I've also got my colleague and sports reporter, David Kwalimwa, who will be joining us very, very shortly. We've got also a line through to Italy, a guest who's also joining us from there, and a few people who will come in as the show progresses. But first, local footballers have been forced to train individually using a program provided by club trainers. The players have been training at home and going for road runs while observing government guidelines regarding social distancing. Former Harambee Stars defender and captain, or now captain of the former Harambee Stars defender and captain, who's now the head coach of AFC Leopards, Kimani Anthony, joins us to explain the measures club managers have put in place to ensure the players keep fit as they wait for the return of the league.
It feels like a red card, but it's more than a 2 or 3 match ban. It sounds like a team or athletes failing to qualify for competition. Only that it is all the clubs and all the athletes sitting this one out. Athletes have closed camps as footballers stay home, away from what they most enjoy doing. The COVID-19 pandemic has brought the world of sports to its knees. KPL is not in unfamiliar territory. The league has previously suffered numerous unwarranted breaks due to leadership wrangles, but even by its own standards, this is a different ballgame altogether.
The last couple of weeks have been very, very tough. Things have escalated pretty quickly.
You just have to sit and wait. Wait until when? We never know.
The 2019-2020 Kenyan Premier League season stands indefinitely suspended. Before the first case was reported last month, Gor Mahia had beaten AFC Leopards in the Mashemeji Derby to extend the lead atop the standings on 54 points. AFC Leopards coach Anthony Kimani acknowledges the trying times the world is currently going through.
I have been in constant communication with a lot of the players, and especially the captain, who has been bringing me up to speed with what or how the players are faring on in these tough times. Our fitness trainer came up with a program for the players to train and ensure that they don't slide into a sedentary lifestyle while at home.
Athletes are also not spared. Most of them were eyeing Olympic glory in Tokyo, Japan. The biggest event this year, the Olympic Games in Tokyo, Japan, will now take place next year.
I don't think next year is so far, so I'm just training, I'm still focused. I'm I'm now training at home and training alone and staying at home with my family.
It has been a hard time in side of athletics because all races have been cancelled. I finished Tokyo Marathon this year. My next race was to run Olympic. At least to keep your body fit, to keep your body to know that you are still an athlete.
Kenya was also set to host the IAAF World Under-20 Championships, which were scheduled for the 7th to the 12th of July. Preparations were already in top gear. The event has since been postponed. The Return Safari Rally event to the World Rally Championships is also in limbo, despite Kenya's huge financial investment into the event.
The dust will settle at some point. The COVID-19 pandemic will come to an end soon, hopefully. For a year that had such great promise, sports personalities and fans alike have to endure the agonizing wait for it to get better sooner rather than later. For now, it is files and files of old footage for us sports journalists. Watson Karuma, NTV.
Okay, and now in the studio, I'm joined by Peter Ndohio. Good morning and welcome to Your World.
Good morning.
Now, how has your world changed? Has it changed at all with the COVID-19?
Yeah, more than you can imagine. Because we are used to, on or around this time, to be busy preparing to go and run the marathons, like possibly for Elliot, who would have been doing the London Marathon next Sunday on 26th. But now you find us home, sitting, waiting, keeping our fingers crossed that this thing disappears. And for sure it has turned the world of sport upside down. All the people who had had their races programmed had them cancelled, apart from a few like Tokyo, which took place without spectators and without outsiders. Only the elite group participated. And it's the first time in a long time. Actually, for the period that I've been in sport, I've never seen anything like this. Yeah, it's really difficult.
So next week, Kipchoge would have been in London?
Yes, on 26th.
Yeah.
Yes.
And presumably that would have been preceded by quite a few months of hard training with your support and the rest of the team?
Yeah, actually we've been training for this event all the way from November. We have been preparing for the, we were actually preparing for the London Marathon all the way from November to on or about March, when now we had to close down because now the disease came in and sorted us out.
So now nobody knows when this will end. Nobody knows when the sporting calendar will be back to normal.
Yes.
So what's happening to the athletes now?
Well, a majority of them are actually tuning in and training on their own. Rather too difficult because they're used to training in a group, waking up every morning and going to for a solo run on your own isn't an easy thing. When you're doing the drills, you are alone. And you know, it is morale boosting when you have your colleagues with you and you are training together. So they have had to have done what you call a paradigm shift completely from what they're used to the new normal, like we are saying now. That you have to train and keep training, because if you switch off, it will be so difficult when this thing ends.
So what's your role now when you've got, I know Kipchoge and a few of the others are in places like Eldoret.
Yes.
So what is your role? Now you can't mingle together as a team. What happens?
It becomes very difficult unless now there is a particular thing that I'm supposed to possibly an injury that could possibly occur, that I could possibly sort out. But as for now, only advice on phone. I am feeling like this. Consultation by phone. That is actually what is happening right now, because we have to keep the social distance and we have to appreciate that so that we do not become conduits of transmitting this.
So if someone unfortunately suffers some kind of an injury, it's very difficult for you to actually see it. You would rely on them telling you what's going on?
Yes, what they tell you, and then you give advice. If you feel they need to see the nearest medical person near them, then you advise so. Yes, but essentially because we are used to each other, and I understand them, and the truth of the fact that they trust what I do. So the first person, contact person, as far as those things are concerned, is me. So after that, then, depending on what it is, then I advise them accordingly.
Now, you've been with someone like Eliud Kipchoge for, is it about 16 years now?
Yes, yes.
What is your role exactly? How does, just tell us a little bit about your role.
Well, I'm a trained physiotherapist, and my role is to make sure he remains healthy. That is my cardinal role in his world of sports. Not only him, it is a group of them, the stable that they train together at the global sports. And my role is actually to guide him into preventing injuries from occurring, managing them when they occur, and mentally assisting them to fit in and concentrate on what it is they are supposed to do, so that the player does what he's supposed to do: train and compete. The coach does what he's supposed to do: coach and get them ready. And at the end, we have a result of a well-prepared athlete who goes out there and gives their best.
Yes, and brings us medals as well.
Yes, yes.
Okay, now the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games were to be held this year in Tokyo, Japan. But after weeks of uncertainty amid the COVID-19 pandemic, the local organizers and the International Olympic Committee eventually announced the postponement of the Summer Olympics to 2021. 3 teams in Kenya have qualified for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. That is the national women's football team, Malkia Strikers, the national men rugby sevens team, Shujaa, and the national women's rugby sevens team, Kenya Lionesses. The Secretary General of the National Olympic Committee of Kenya, Francis Mutuku, joins me this morning via Skype. Good morning and welcome to Your World.
Be in your show today.
Can you hear me? I can't quite hear you.
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning.
Now you're loud and clear. I hope you've had some breakfast. Now you're loud and clear. Now,
thank you.
Francis, are you out of a job now? There is no Olympics this year.
Not quite, but like you just mentioned when you were talking to Peter, the world has completely changed. If I can take you back to the beginning of March, when the world was as we knew it, overall in the world, 57% of the 11,000 athletes who were expected for the Olympics had qualified. And therefore, with the remaining 3 months by then, we were expecting that the 43 or so % would qualify. In Kenya, as you had mentioned, for the first time, we had 3 team sports qualify, which is the rugby women and men, the Malkia Strikers. We also had some individual sports which had qualified. We had 2 boxers who had qualified. That was Nico Koth and Christine Ogare. And we had, for the first time, a taekwondo lady, Faith Ogaro, who had qualified. We also had gotten 2 World Cups in the swimming area where we expected to send 2 swimmers. And then the COVID happened. COVID is everything against sports. Sport is about contact. It's about being in close proximity. It's about traveling. It's been about being with everybody else.
So, Francis, what is happening to these teams now? I mean, the games are off until next year. What are the teams doing?
Right now, we are in a very precarious situation, because it's for the first time that we have athletes and teams who have qualified for the biggest event in the world. That means in terms of their periodization, they were at their top. That they were at their top. They were in their best form, and now they have to try and maintain some semblance fitness, semblance of preparedness. It's very difficult for the team sports because, like you saw earlier, the captain of Malikia, you have to train as a team, but now she has to train all alone. So first, for the team sports, means all they can do is just keep a level of fitness. And for the individual sports, like Peter has explained, it's just, again, minimal fitness for all of them. And so we are waiting eagerly that our medical teams get COVID under control so that all these teams can come and train together.
Now, Francis, briefly, finally, what are you as a committee doing now at the moment, just very briefly?
We have taken the advantage at this point. First, just in terms of supporting the government, we've mobilized our athletes across the country to message, to become the role models, to inform people within their close proximity, because they are role models and a lot of people follow them, to message what government is saying in terms of social distancing, washing hands and all that. The second thing is that we've taken advantage to start working on what we call the administrative matters. As we speak now, we've started working on what we call the operations manual for the Olympics. As you all know, in Kenya, previous Olympics, we are faced with a lot of challenges, and therefore during this pause in the world, we are taking advantage to work on the administrative matters, come up with operations, come up with systems, so that the moment we are back to normal, we are all systems go.
Okay. Francis, thank you very much indeed for joining your world this morning. And now, because sports is such a huge thing, I have had to seek the assistance of my colleague from the Daily Nation news desk, David Kwalimwa, who joins me in a different part of the building in our newsroom. David, good morning and welcome to your world.
Morning to you, Joseph. Thank you so much.
Yes, and if you can take it away, I believe you have a guest to speak to as well.
Yes, Anthony, it's good seeing you again, and it's been difficult times for Kenyan footballers, Kenyan coaches and stakeholders in general since the pandemic struck. And looking at you, looks like a bit of your personal life is taken away. You've not seen your baba in a while, and probably you've not had your favorite drink. But apart from that, how tough has it been for you, and what has changed for you personally as a coach and in your personal life?
Well, good morning, David. It's good to see you as well. Unfortunately, I couldn't hear part of your question. I don't know whether you could repeat that and be a bit more audible. Sorry.
No, it's okay, Anthony. Yeah, I was saying it's been a tough past month for you and Kenyan footballers and coaches and all stakeholders on the local football scene. Just looking at you, it's been a while since you visited your baba, Anthony, and probably had your favorite drink. What else has changed in your life after this pandemic struck?
So we'll try and link back to Anthony in a minute as soon as we sort out the audio so that he can hear us, because we can hear him. Now back to you, Peter, in the studio. Now, apart from sports people, physiotherapists are actually playing a big role in terms of the recovery of people who have been infected with COVID-19. Can you tell me a little bit about this?
Yes, Joseph. The truth of the matter is that physiotherapists are actually on the front line on the fight against the virus. They are the doctors, they are the nurses, they are laboratory specialists and physiotherapists. Physiotherapists do work in all setups of the medical field that you'll find a patient in ICUs, in outpatient clinics, and outside the hospital setup. So you find that, like in ICU setup, for example, where some of these patients who have the disease are ending up at, you find the physiotherapist will be there to work together with the nurse and the doctor who is in charge of the patient to try and clear the chest, all right, mobilize the patient, because a majority of these patients end up being bedridden. A bedridden patient does not only suffer risks of the chest infection that he has, he also runs a risk of developing deep venous thrombosis or whatever they refer to as DVT. They need to be mobilized. They need to be worked at. Passive exercises when they are at it, when they cannot be able to do it on their own. The physiotherapist becomes their muscle. And essentially a very, very, very important role, because a majority of these people, and like you're hearing from the rest of the world, they need to be mobilized. The activity, when you raise the activity level of these patients, then the body tends to react positively towards the fight of the virus. So essentially, the physio is very, 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 very important. And like you had with the Prime Minister of Britain, he was one of the victims of this virus, and when he came out, he was thanking, amongst others, the physiotherapists who did the work on him. So essentially, I think you can see it is a wide scope that goes all along in handling the cases.
And now, I was listening to an interview with cyclists who are preparing for Tour de France, yes. And one of their challenges was saying they have to exercise at home, and their biggest concern was the risk of injury as compared to when they're out. Can you talk about that even for people now who are watching us, who have set up their own little gyms in the house? Mm-hmm. There is a danger sometimes of injury.
Yes. It is, and it is a huge problem, because you see, you are training on your own without a trained eye to see what you're doing. You tend to become over-enthusiastic. You could be carrying out an exercise the wrong way. Somebody needs to correct you out on that and put you on the right direction, how you're supposed to do this. Some of the people tend to overdo what it is they're supposed to be doing. You know, if I told you to do sit-ups, somebody wants to do so many of them. You want to do weights, you want to lift literally beyond what you can take, essentially, and that predisposes you to an injury. And also you find the pressings, the areas that they are training at. Most of the homes possibly are not big enough. So the area is small, so you are working out on a very secluded area that you get knocking to other things that are not supposed to be there, because there's no adequate space. And then you find you're training indoors. Your event is outdoor. So the challenges of training inside vis-a-vis working out outside are completely different. Because, so you will find that you need to put in so much more for you to train. And again, you're training alone, you realize. So when you feel that you are exhausted, you just let it go like that, without even cooling down, without even doing anything that is supposed to follow the routine as you start an exercise and when you conclude.
So just on that, as a professional, what's your advice to people to prevent against injury, for example, in the house as you exercise?
Yes, essentially, just make sure that area you are training in is safe. Remove everything else that could easily injure you. Then get into, and again, also the surface that you are training at. Most of the homes have very smooth surfaces, the tiles, So you find you can easily skid, fall down, and injure yourself. So make sure you have a shoe that has got a sole that is able to grip the ground well, so that you don't lose your stance. And then when you are training, do the simple things. There are so many simple things that you can do in the house that could actually activate your body, because most of us have been reduced to zero right now. So you're just sitting there with your phone and the screen, and with very little physical activity. So we would encourage people to actually get into the physical activities. There is the rope, all right? There's skipping rope. You can easily do that. There is water in a bottle, a 2-liter bottle, 1-liter bottle. Put it and work out your arms and everything else. Use a strong chair or a stool, 2 of them. Place one on the side and the other side, and do your push-ups. You see, at the end of the day, you will have activated quite a number of your body organs that require to be activated for you to remain active and prevent adding weight, because that is another issue that will come up at the end of this period.
Okay, well, I'll go into that in a moment.
Yes.
But first, let's head to Tanzania to catch up with our reporter there, Tulanana Bohela. Good morning and welcome again to Your World.
Good morning. Hope everything is well.
Yes, give us a picture of Tanzania this morning. We were just listening briefly to the President Magufuli speaking, but what can you tell us about the latest situation there?
Well, yeah, the numbers are swelling day by day. As you maybe mentioned, there's now been 254 confirmed cases with 3 new deaths that have been confirmed as of yesterday here in Dar es Salaam. This brings the death toll to 10. And one of the confirmed cases just yesterday was a parliamentarian of Tanzania that has contracted the virus, and the parliament confirmed that he or she is receiving treatment. The new dynamic that's here with these numbers that we're seeing in Tanzania is that it's spreading to the regions. So it's spreading just beyond Dar es Salaam. Before, we were seeing it concentrated heavily in Dar es Salaam and in Zanzibar. So we are seeing cases in Arusha, Mbeya, Dodoma, Ruvuma, and a total of 16 regions out of the 30 that are there. And so this now is bringing the reality of the virus to a lot more people and creating great concern.
So have people's attitudes changed in response to the numbers?
Well, I spoke to a few residents here in Dar es Salaam. Most of them are now kind of coming to terms with it. But the bigger question is whether a lot of them are doing the prescribed prescriptions by the government. We've seen the government just lately, over the weekend, subscribe that we must now, everybody in Dar es Salaam has to wear a mask while walking outside, which was different from before, where they were just encouraged to wash their hands and avoid touching their faces. And now the debate now there is, where are we going to get these masks from? There's been a lot of people trying to take the business angle of it, making masks out of cloths or tenge or kangas, but the effectiveness of this is also questionable towards the virus. So just the fact that the numbers are swelling, we're seeing a little bit more of a dawning onto people's minds that this is a real thing.
Now, the president is appealing to Tanzanians to pray, and prayer is a good thing. But are there other measures or campaign that the government is planning to sensitize people and help prevent the spread of this virus further?
Right. So just recently, we've seen the Ministry of Health decide to go further than just further and more a mobile campaign. So we're seeing trucks moving around. We're seeing trucks moving around with information, with big speakers and spreading information about the virus. But we've also seen health workers from the Red Cross collaborate with the Ministry of Health to go into different areas in order to make sure that people are keeping safe and the like. And so this is kind of in the steps that are there. There is word that there may be more prayer days that are going to be announced in the future. But so far, the action has been for people to take the measures upon themselves. And as he showed in the clip there, for the president is yet to shift his stance and say that we're going to go into total lockdown. He is adamant that things will remain open. People should be able to move around. And this is more so a worry of the economic effects of many Tanzanians, but also of the region, if especially the town of Dar es Salaam, the city of Dar es Salaam is shut down, but if Tanzania goes into full lockdown. Okay,
Tulanana, thank you. Stay with us. Now let me rejoin my colleague David Kwalimwa in the newsroom studio. David, if you can hear me, I hope you can now make a link and be able to communicate with Anthony Kimani.
Yes, Anthony, if you can hear me now, I was just asking you about how life has changed for you as a football coach and as a person. I just noted that you'd not seen your baba in a while. Apart from that and probably your favorite drink, what else has changed in your life?
Well, a lot has changed, David. The fact that we like being outdoors, the fact that we like being on the field, trying to find solutions for the different problems that our players and our respective teams give us. It's something that we've not been able to do, and it's something that always keeps us going. So we've had a lot of challenges as coaches, and I think one of the biggest challenges is just to ensure that the players don't drift into a sedentary lifestyle. A sedentary lifestyle is bad for any human being, but I think it's even worse for a sportsman. But fortunately, we have a very, very good trainer, physical trainer that has been doing very, very well in as far as coming up with programs for our players to do is concerned. So he has been drafting programs that the players can do at the confines of their homes. So basically, that is what a lot of our players have been doing. We can't do much technical stuff or any of the tactical stuff that we normally do on the pitch. So that's where we are at. One of the biggest challenges that we're facing, besides ensuring that the programs have been given, is monitoring the players, because that is also an essential part of coaching. It's very, very important to monitor what the players are doing and how they're doing it. So it's the how bit that we've not been able to do. And we're just hoping that the players are doing the right things, because at times it's very, very important to know what amount of training these particular players are doing. Some will want to do even more, and overtraining can be counterproductive. So those are some of the challenges that we are faced with, as coaches. The fact that we cannot be close to our players, the fact that we cannot really know where to add a little bit more, or where to to take the training a little bit lower. So that's where we are. So we are, traveling in uncharted waters, just like everybody else in the world. We are trying to make the most of this situation, and hopefully we are all going to come out, better people and better players.
Yeah, Anthony, basically I wanted to ask you about communication with your players. How do you do it? You have a squad of about 26 to 30 players to manage on a daily basis. How do you do it? How do you talk to them? And what are their concerns as well? Because I know even before the pandemic struck, you had challenges facing within the team, especially on the financial front. And right now that they're not able to play matches and earn a little bit of revenue, it must really be tough for them. Apart from that, what else is their biggest concern right now, your players, so to speak?
Well, we have a WhatsApp group. And that makes it very, very easy, to reach every player. But I personally like communicating to players individually, because I feel that that's where they can open up. That's when they can really, really share, everything that they would want you to help them with. So I've been calling a lot of them, nearly all the players. And I think the concerns are the same as everybody else. They cannot really go out there and do everything that they want to do freely. They cannot go onto the pitch and have a kickabout with their teammates. So in as far as the technical aspect of their game is concerned, I think we will have to work very, very hard on that as soon as normalcy returns and we can all go back to the pitch again. In terms of finances, yes, the team was struggling financially, and I think we are now going to struggle even more, because some of the avenues that the team was using to get money have been cut off. FC Leopards is one of the clubs that depend on gate collections because of the huge fan base that the club has. The last match that we played against Tushuru in the FKF Shield Cup was played in an empty stadium, so the fans couldn't come, the club couldn't get any money out of that. And of course, we haven't been playing any matches at all. So financially, I think the team is not in a very, very good position, but I'm pretty sure our chairman, our treasurer, and secretary general are trying to do everything within, their mandate, or anything possible that they can do to ensure that the players, are looked after. They had tried and paid some money to the players. So right now, I think the players, even though they are not where they would like to be, I think financially they are a bit better than they were a couple of weeks ago. Another challenge that we have right now is monitoring the diet
Yeah, Anthony,
of our
I'll
players.
have to cut you
Since
short
they're
for
spending
now,
most of their
and
times at home, I'm
we
pretty
really hope
sure
the
their eating
situation
habits
does
have been
improve
changed a little
soon.
bit, and so that is a
Anthony,
concern,
sorry, I'll have to
and
cut you
especially
short now.
considering the fact that they will not be training as hard as they've been training before. So I think we might have a few weight issues with some players as soon as training resumes. But other than that, I think everybody's in good shape. I've not received any cases from the respective from the different players of anybody who's ill at the moment. They're all trying to do what they can do to keep themselves fit. So I think all looks good from where I sit.
Okay, Anthony Kimani, thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning. Our regards to Ingwe. And David, do stay tuned. I'll be coming over to you in a moment. But first, let's cross the oceans and the seas to Italy, a country that was hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic. And we're joined by Gianni Merlo, the president of International Sports Press Association. Now, Gianni, buongiorno and welcome to your world. Even before we get into sport, can you just give me a sense of, Italy has been in the news for many, many days because of the terrible effects of the virus. What is the situation right now in Italy?
Good morning first, and I think that you were right. Yes, we were in a very difficult moment. Now it looks that it begins to be better, and we hope that at the beginning of May we can begin to go out again, because it's after 45 days of lockdown in the home is not so easy. But there is always an hope, and I think that it's time that also we begin to fight better this virus, even if it's so unknown that it's very difficult to predict what will happen in the next month.
Now, for you personally, were you able to leave the house? What happened during the very difficult period?
Well, no, I went out only a few times for a walk and so on, but personally, I stayed especially at home because I was also very busy with work. So for me, it was not so difficult. And after so many years of traveling around the world, to stay in my home, it was also a pleasure sometimes. But now it's time to go out to visit again the world, because I think that to stay always close in the house after a while can become a social problem.
Okay, now, and as a journalist yourself, how has this pandemic affected sports journalists in Italy?
I think that is affecting sport journalists exactly as in every country. Top newspaper perhaps very soon will cut some jobs. Others, especially the freelancer, they have no job at all. So the government has agreed, because the Association of Journalists of Italy has asked to put also the category of freelance in the groups of people that needs to have some funds. So they will receive for this month and last month 600 euro each. It's not a big amount of money, but it's something to recognize also a category.
And so have the sports journalists have to change, adapt? What are they doing to cope with this environment where there is very little work and very little money as well?
Yes, little money. But the most important thing is that you have to use your brain to find new solutions to attract the attention of the public. That is not so easy. Maybe that now will be a little bit better, because it's possible that the Serie A of football will begin again at the end of May, beginning of June. So they will begin for the training the beginning of May. There are very hard discussions in this moment between the federation, the Minister of Sport. I've heard yesterday night an interview, because there's still a lot of fear that reopening also the football can be dangerous for a while. But maybe that the industry of football needs to recover sometimes, if not, can collapse. So the discussion will go on all this week, and after I hope that people will find a solution. But it's not so easy, because the most important thing is not in this moment sport, but the health of the people.
So, and just briefly, finally, Gianni, is there, you talk about May. Is there any indication when the country might open up a little bit more?
In May, we are supposed to make the first step. I don't know in my area, because I'm the area near Milano that is still the red zone. But I hope that in June we can begin to have a better freedom to move. And after, it's possible that in the fall, the life will become a little bit more normal, even if I think that till the end of the year, we will feel the consequence of this virus.
Okay, Gianni Merlo, thank you very much indeed for joining us all the way from Milano in Italy, and enjoy the rest of your day. Now, we have some comments that have come in from you. Our hashtag New Normal has been quite busy and active. First one is from Raimi, Premier League. I miss seeing the gear work his magic. Yes, indeed. Okay, that's what you missed the most. We also asked everybody else, what have you missed the most in this season? And for you, Mambo, just one word, EPL. Okay, we get you. Who is this? This is Hassani Sports Pesa. Really, that's what you missed the most. Okay, that's what COVID has done to us. Eden, football and my team, Man City. That's what I missed the most. Okay, thank you very much indeed for that. Newton, I do not miss golf, as the potholes on our roads gives me good practice in the game. Wow, okay, thank you for that. Another comment from Young Tinder, eating mutura by the roadside near an open drain at 7:30 p.m. Now, that's sport. I feel you. Okay, not possible for quite a few weeks to come. Godfrey Mudongo Brownie, Sport Pesa. I miss it because there is no Pesa now. Okay. We take a short break, but Liverpool fans like myself walk alone but stay at home.
% of our families live from hand to mouth.
Vitu kumaduka inaendelea tu kupanda.
There's no money.
A 100% tax relief for persons earning a gross monthly income.
By this particular proposal, Honorable Speaker, we are going to lose revenues to the tune of 49.5 billion shillings.
It's clear that our revenue streams are going to shrink.
We must expedite our ability to deliver this assistance.
It's a very good populist move, but in another 2-3 months, the Treasury will realize that they made a mistake on this one.
The funds belong to the people.
Now more than ever, you need to be abreast with the daily happenings wherever you are. Get the Daily Nation e-paper with a free COVID-19 newsletter at a special highly discounted rate of Kenya shillings 500 for a period of 1 month. Daily Nation. News anytime, anywhere.
We all know William Shakespeare, the most famous author of all time, writer of 37 plays, 154 sonnets, several epic poems, and why we are here today. But what if I told you Shakespeare never wrote a single word?
hotness and a burning inside. It could be heartburn.
Indigestion and heartburn? Eno gets to work in 6 seconds and works on the 6 symptoms of heartburn so you can keep living life non-stop. Eno, fight heartburn and indigestion fast.
Akili, 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 akili. Let's chase the germs away. Let's chase the germs away by keeping our hands clean. And when you want to sneeze or when you want to cough, do it in your elbow. Let's practice sneezing into your elbow. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Achoo! Again. Achoo! Yay! You did it! Germs, germs, germs. They make us sick. Germs, germs, germs are not our friends. Germs, germs, germs. They make us sick. Germs, germs, germs. Germs, germs, germs are not your friends.
Llegaste y supe ser feliz.
From this day on, you have my destiny right in your hands.
Getting drunk isn't going to win Ana Laura back. It's not going to prevent your sweetheart from marrying that stupid guy Ramiro.
You've always been in love with the woman in that picture.
Well, yes, that's true, but when I got to know you, my love,
Shut up. Don't call me your love, because I mean nothing to you. You love that woman, and she's my sister.
But she's for Marcelo, and I'm not the same man.
The three sides of Anna.
The strength of a nation is largely determined by the ability of its people to be food secure, for them to be able to produce food not only to feed themselves, but to sell and make a living while at it. Through various stakeholders, this has revolved around the access to farm inputs, crop diversification, creation and access of markets, distribution channels for produce, and access to information. However, farmers are now having to deal with the continuous challenge of climate change.
Smallholder farmers in Kenya have been faced with a double whammy. They're dealing with the health crisis that's coming because of COVID-19. They are also trying to fight off the scourge of the desert locust.
On Wednesday, 22nd April 2020, the Nation Media Group will hold a live virtual Nation Leadership Forum from 7 p.m. on NTV. It shall delve into various issues that affect farmers and seek solutions into what is needed for Kenya to become a food-secure country.
Nation Leadership Forum. Engaging society, impacting the nation.
My name is Michael Olunga. I'd like to take this opportunity to wish all my fellow Kenyans peace and safety during these difficult times as we fight the coronavirus pandemic. Please follow the instructions given by our President, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, and the Ministry of Health as we fight the coronavirus pandemic. For example, wash your hands thoroughly with running water and soap, or use sanitizers where necessary. 2. Keep your environment clean. 3. Stay at home and avoid unnecessary movements. 4. Take the necessary precautions to keep yourself and your family safe. 5. To my fellow athletes, please train in isolation and take unnecessary precautions. We shall overcome this pandemic. May God bless you and God bless Kenya.
For mind-blowing music and entertainment, just move to NTV.
Let's now bring in Harambee Stars and Japanese Kashiwa wrestle side forward Mike Olunga. He and teammates were put into quarantine in Japan. He told us about the routine and the measures they undertook while in quarantine.
As you all know, the J-League, since February 25th, we stopped after the first round of games. And it has been quite a challenging moment, because the whole world has been affected by the increased cases of COVID-19. Teams, including our team, Kashiwa Wrestle, we are quarantined 14 days in the house, and we try to avoid contact by going into crowded places. Also, we have been given a routine by the club physios. They've given us a home workout plan, so we are following this workout to keep us fit. So as at now, we just work from home, try to keep the level of the fitness and body conditioning until when we are going to resume.
Okay, let's now link up with my co-presenter this morning, David Kwalimwa.
Yes, thank you very much, Joseph. And Michael, it's great to hear from you, and it looks like you're doing very well now. 11,000 cases of coronavirus have positively been confirmed in Japan, with 180 deaths so far. How has this impact affected you, and especially your sports career over there? And what are you doing to stay safe?
So far, we've recorded quite a number of cases in Japan, and now the government has put a state of emergency to some of the provinces around, and around Tokyo, which is the most affected. It's one of the places that there has been a lot of new cases of the COVID-19 so far. So we are trying to follow the government directives, now that we are still under the state of emergency till May 6th. Moso is trying to stay indoors most of the time. I can say 90% of the time we are staying indoors, because all the facilities, including the football clubs, we have taken a break until May 6th. So just training indoors, trying to adhere to the strict measures put by the government of Japan, which is trying to keep the social distance, trying to sanitize as much as possible, and working from home.
Yeah, I've seen you training there, and you had started the season very well with that goal against Gamba Osaka in the J-League. You scored 27 goals last season, and I'm sure you wanted to be the top scorer this season in the top flight league. Should the league resume on May 5th or thereabouts, as we are speculating the J-League, would you prefer to just get straight to the action, or would you prefer a pre-season sort of thing where probably you train for 1 or 2 weeks to rake up more fitness before the league goes on?
Right now, what I can say is the league, we really started quite well. The Gamba Osaka game was a cup game, I scored the winner. Then we started the J-League on a high, also winning 4-2 at home. And I started quite positive with 2 goals and an assist. And I was really looking forward for the 2020, J-League season. Last season, having become second in the J2 with 27 goals, I was anticipating quite a positive season. And for sure, it's going to be quite a challenge, because now the match fitness is already gone, so we have to start, from square one. But the big question is whether the league is going to be played like the normal basis, because there are speculations that maybe it could be a one-legged league, because there are quite a number of games, 34 games. It's not quite easy, to play within a duration of 6 months. So most probably, maybe people will just get straight into action because of the time. But if you look at it in terms of the athletes, then it's going to have quite a significant impact, because most of the players, will have really lost their match fitness.
Yeah, Michael. Now, again, you're saying 90% of your time you spend it indoors, which is a very, very interesting and unique scenario to you and all of us here. How is your typical day like? How do you spend your day from the time you wake up to the time you go back to bed in the evening? And how do you exercise again, indoors or outdoors during your day?
The club physicians, they have given us, each and every player, has been given his own particular routine to work out, because different players, they need different kinds of training. So typically, for example, like me, I wake up at 8:30 or 9 o'clock. Then at 10 o'clock, I have to do mobility training or flexibility training, to prevent injuries. And then that one will be like a 1 hour morning session. Then I'll take rest. And then later in the evening, around maybe 5 or 6, depending on how you feel your body, I can do a more intense training. That is maybe gym or kind of, like a skipping rope, agility training, just trying to not to lose the physical aspect of the game, because right now the only thing you can gain as a player is the physical aspect of the game. So because it's quite difficult, to get the conditioning training, because the area is quite limited.
Looking back into Kenya here in the Kenyan Premier League, of course, you were the best player in Kenya in 2015, one of the top scorers at the time. But you know local football and how footballers are struggling locally. Recently, the government bailed out athletes here, not athletes, rather artists here with a token to keep going during these tough times. What will you think, or what will be your advice, or what will you say to the government and other stakeholders or policymakers in regards to athletes right now, and especially footballers, because you know the state of local footballers right now in Kenya?
First of all, just to thank the government for supporting another sector, which is the artists, and because they really also need the support. But athletes also, just like the artists, they are in a state where playing in Kenyan Premier League 2015, where I was particularly playing for Gor Mahia FC, we did not have a sponsor. It was very, very difficult to run the team, and the players, we could go 1 or 2 months without salary. So I'm trying to imagine right now where we cannot go to the fields, we cannot get the bonuses from the games, then it's very, very difficult. And having in mind that most of the players, they don't get a good, salary, then it means it's quite difficult for them to survive during this COVID-19. So my plea to the government is just to try and also consider the athletes. By athletes, I don't only mean football, but also basketballers, volleyballers, handballers, everyone who consider him or herself an athlete, because they do a very physical job, and at the end of the day, they have to also try and put food on the table for their family. So I'll just like to urge the government, to try and also consider, supporting the athletes.
Thank you very much, Michael. Keep fit. We need your goals. Kenya needs your goals in the next qualification matches for the Africa Cup of Nations and the World Cup. Thank you. Keep safe. Stay safe. And for now, that's it. Back to you, Joseph, in the main studio.
Thank you, Kolimo. Now, you may know him as Kenya's #1 football fan, but they call him Jaro Soja. The avid Gor Mahia fan told us about his weekend life without football. Jaro Soja, who is also known for customizing almost everything to a Gor Mahia theme, is now making Gor Mahia face masks for sale to football fans.
Imekuwa ni ngumu sana sisi kama watu wa Gor Mahia, kama asai hatuwezi enda stadium kwa sababu ya COVID-19. Ndio maana nilikuja na idea ya kutengenezea Gor Mahia fans COVID-19 masks, face masks. And as you can see, the message is very clear. It says stop COVID-19. Kitu high quality kama hii iko na layers 3 na lazima usanitize properly. Usanitize mkono all the time. Fundi kila mtu yote mnakuja lazima afanye sanitize kwa sababu kuna wale wanapuza. COVID-19 is real. Mask imetengenezwa kwamba ile maji inatoka kwa mdomo usiruhusie mwenzako. Sasa vaa mask yako kwanza ndio niongeleshe. Kuna wale pia unaona ukitembea wamehang mask hapa. Sasa wanangoja polisi, wakiona polisi ndio wanavuta juu. Mask sio ya polisi. Mask ni yako na maisha yako. Mask sio ya serikali. As the government said, it is you and your life. So, tusiweke mchezo kwa hii maneno ya COVID-19. Tuvae mask na tunawe. I have to consult madaktari ambao ni rafiki yangu kwanza, ndio nijue ile kitu natengeneza ni right. Siwezi tengeneza kitu kama hii kwa sababu ni kitu ya maisha bila consult daktari. Niko na madaktari wengi ambao ni rafiki wangu, wameniambia that's the right thing to do, Jaro. Keep it up, do it and make sure kwamba government funds umevaa mask. Make sure kwamba mask yako imekuwa well packaged kwa jwala. Alafu make sure umekuwa sanitized vizuri kabisa. Rub your hands vizuri ndio ushike mask. Ukitoa mask fungua jwala vizuri. Haya, shikilia mask yako vizuri. Alafu ushikilie hizi vizuri. Hizi unaingiza kwa masikio. Ukene kwa loose kidogo kwa sababu hii inatosha kila mtu. Hii ndio una adjust nayo nyuma. Unaona? Alafu hapana shika mask kila wakati. Unaona? Mask inafaa uhandle vizuri kabisa kwa sababu ni maisha yako. Unaona? After usishike mask kabla usanitize mkono. Lazima usanitize mkono.
Well, some good real-life lessons there from Gor Mahia fan number 1. Kwalima, what do you make of this? And are there other clubs who are thinking of the same?
Thank you, Joseph. First, I will really commend Jaro Soja, Jared Abongo, the fan number 1 of Gor Mahia, for coming up with innovative ideas of making some income during these tough times in the coronavirus when not so much is happening around the country. You have to really commend him, and apart from just making income, you have to note that as well his income generating activity is of help to Kenyans. He aims at having Kenyans sanitize, stay safe, cover their nose and mouth, which are the most tender areas right now, and that's as per the government directive. And not much is happening to fans of other clubs, and probably they should borrow suit or pick up 1 or 2 tips from Jaro Bongo, even if it is to just have branded paraphernalia with the club colors to fans, where fans can associate with such effects or such memorabilia to buy and stay safe as well, create income. I hope some of that income will go to the clubs, because we've discussed earlier on how clubs are suffering right now for any sort of income after league matches were stopped due to the coronavirus pandemic. So this is a positive move all round, and one that we laud Jaro Soja from, and hope that all other football fans take up this with collaboration, of course, with the health facilities to ensure that these face masks, for example, are of the required standard, and with the club to ensure that some income goes to the club. Joseph, what do you think?
Yes, indeed. And, you know, as you can imagine, loyal football fans in Kenya, David, you know, are not so happy with the COVID-19 pandemic. It's robbed them of a stadium atmosphere and the joy of enjoying live matches, you know, celebrating their clubs in the Kenya Premier League. Take a look.
Tumekuwa na very boring weekends. Weekend imekuwa refu sana sisi kama wapenda kandanda nchini Kenya, kwa sababu ya hiyo gonjwa ambayo imekuja inaitwa COVID-19. Kwa hivyo ningependa sana kuambia mashabiki wote wa mpira nchini Kenya, tutii sheria za serikali. Ukipata corona utakuwa umeumiza watu wengi, kwa sababu utapelekwa 14 days quarantine, na utapelekwa peke yako. Utapelekwa na familia yako, kama uko na watoto 10 na marafiki wako ambao uko nao wote, mtaenda 14 days quarantine. Na hiyo quarantine ya 14 days hakuna mtu atakulipia, wewe mwenyewe utajilipia. Kwa hivyo tusipuze hizi vitu ambavyo serikali wanatuambia.
Ikifika weekend tulikuwa tunafanya sana kwenda kuona ball. Hatuwezi enda kuwatch ball, at the same time games haziendi. Sasa tulikuwa tunaomba wananchi wote wenye sasa wanasikia ujumbe yenye inatolewa na serikali watii hiyo ujumbe, kwa sababu hiyo ndio inafanya turudi kwa hali yetu ya kawaida.
Hii mambo ya mpira imekuwa ngumu sana,
hatuwezi enda hata kuwatch ball. Kwanza kama mimi timu yangu ni Arsenal, siwezi enda kusabikia hata team sababu sasa COVID-19 imefunga kila kitu. But the best thing to keep distance venye serikali imesema, hii mambo inaweza kuwa tuki-maintain hivyo tu itaisha.
The cries of the fans there. Now, Peter Ndohio, listening to this and actually some of the feedback that's coming into our hashtag new normal, a lot of people are missing football, mainly football, but also, you know, the other, you know, events on the sporting calendar. So as much as we talk about physical health, this also has a lot to do with our mental state, because sports does help us in that department, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And I really like what I've seen there with Jaro Soja and trying to help in whatever little bit that he's able to do, make a living, and as well assist in the fight against the virus. But essentially, you'll find that locking people up or staying indoors has an effect, an adverse effect on their mental status. Essentially, you'll find people getting bored. What they're used to is completely erased. It does not appear on their radar, so they are like lost. They don't know what to do. And you can see the reports that are coming up. But it is a necessary thing to do because we have to get rid of this virus. And the only way is to cut off its transmission circuit.
But also even top class athletes, people like Eliud Kipchoge, for example,
yes,
mental health is really key in terms of achieving their objectives. At the moment, it's we have a lot of stress going around, and I'm sure it's impacting on them as well.
Yes, it is impacting on them. And in the management of athletes, we are trying as much as possible to keep in touch with them, to make sure that they remain in the game, even if they are not playing it. Because the moment they pull off a little bit like that, then it destroys them. And what will happen at the end is that you'll get a group of athletes when this thing is over and done with, who are off the
out of form.
Out of form completely. They have added weight. They are mentally not alert to what they are supposed to go through. So it will take them much longer now to get back to their top form that they were at. Because like I can tell you, and for sure this disease really did a lot of damage. By the time we are coming to close down, most of the athletes were there at the top. They were just 1 week to their races.
Yes, preparing for London.
That is it, that is it. London, Boston.
Olympics as well.
Olympics as well.
Yeah.
And then you find in between, abruptly, it is cut. So you're left there not knowing what next to do. So essentially what happens is that most of them tend to go into depression. You see, you have lost an earning. You don't know what else to do, because a time like this, any other year, you would be busy training. Now you are in a new environment whereby you are now not actually in a group training, you are training alone and not knowing what you are training for.
So is there a danger then that if things, as soon as things reopen up, our athletes will be rushing to try and, you know, catch up with any race that's taking place?
Yes, for sure, that is very true, and that is the danger that are now, or where the risks are now to these athletes. Because you'll want to push this body, which has been so sedentary in nature for a period of time, to performing at the shape at which you left it at in March. So what will happen is that you'll push it so hard, and you'll get an injury, and you're grounded for the next couple of months again.
So it's likely you're moving from COVID
that
to
is
injuries.
It is a trying time, and I would want to advise most of the medical teams, the medics and coaches, trainers, and everybody who is handling athletes to keep in talk with them. Make sure that you reassess them at the beginning of the next season, because that's what we call it now. At the beginning of the next season, make sure you do a pre-med so that you are able to identify the shortcomings that are there, the biases that are there right now, that could predispose that athlete to an injury, sort it out.
Now, and just on that, it's a good
Yes.
point for me to just give us a sense of what it actually takes to prepare someone to be a world-class athlete like Eliud Kipchoge. When, for example, he's got a race coming in a few months, what are the steps that you and he has to go through to prepare?
Okay, now, if I were to take an athlete like Eliud, for example, or Kamoror, essentially what you need to do is you work, take the athlete, the coach, and the physio. Those are three key persons or individuals in the preparation of an athlete. The coach has got a role to do. So make sure that they have a training program that will follow through without pushing it too much as to cause injuries. You see, and that is where the connection comes in. And then there is the physio here, who is supposed to monitor the progress of the athlete, physically, physical fitness. You know, there are others with conditioning trainers or coaches who will also step in to drill the athlete into sharpening out the particular areas that they think are deficient. But for somebody like me now, if I were to take you through the process that we normally go through, in camp, where we train, we have gadgets. We'll do measurements of the muscles, measure strength of each side. Both, we divide the body into two, you have the left chain and the right chain. So make sure that those two chains are balanced out, so that you do not get a muscle imbalance that predisposes the athlete.
So for a run, for example, the left leg and the right?
Well, yeah, the strength of the hamstring possibly should almost be equal. It's very difficult to find them at exact same figure.
It's like a machine or a car.
That is it. You have to fine tune so that you get the muscles almost at par. That way, what you do is that you look at an athlete like this and you'll be able to tell that this athlete will be able to perform efficiently, because efficiency in a race is a key aspect of it. And you'll not achieve that if the muscles are imbalanced.
Okay. Let me pause you there for a moment, Peter. I'll come back to this fascinating stuff about how you prepare athletes. David, back to you again. I know you've got someone else on the line. Take it away.
Yes, sir. Yes, that is the situation there, and I think we're being joined by Alan Wanga right now. Is that the case? Okay, Alan, good morning to you, Alan, and it's been 1 month without football for you, which I don't think has ever happened midway through the season, or your season has been interrupted from your time in Angola, in Azerbaijan. You've had a glittering career, but right now things have just ground to a halt immediately. How have you taken this, and how are you coping up?
I mean, it's a nightmare. I can tell you that for a fact, because I mean, it's a nightmare. I can tell you that for a fact. Staying for over 1 month without playing football, without training on the pitch, it can damage someone's career. And I think what footballers are going through is very bad at the moment. And we are really praying that we overcome all this.
Yes, Alan, now you had 7 goals this season, and you're in the running to contest for the top scorer's position, just like was the case last season. But this league has been halted indefinitely. There is no clear way forward on how or when the league will resume. What's your stake as an experienced stakeholder and footballer for that matter? Would you suggest that the league stops, the league goes ahead, the league is postponed? How do you want this to go on? Because there are several opinions on how this matter should be handled in line with the pandemic. Remember as well, the government has a directive to close all sports facilities in the country and ban mass gatherings. Should the game be played behind closed doors, for example? How do you want to go with this, considering you're eyeing the golden boot as well?
And thank you very much, David. One more thing you forgot about is about we were one of those teams that were contesting for the title, and I think talking from my experience and the team I play for, this is something that is not good, because Kakamega Homeboys is a team from Western Kenya, a team that is only 10 years old, with young players, young upcoming players who are really looking forward to be one of those great stars in the country. So they were really looking forward, to giving their best this season. And as you know, we had a very big chance of winning the KPL title. So with the situation now, and from my personal level also, I was really looking forward to giving it a run for the person who was leading in the top scorers chart. So it's something that has disoriented us, and from my side, I think the only best solution, if we manage to contain this corona disease, I think it's only good if we go back to the pitch, because you see, in Kenya, it's unlike in other parts of the world. The first three teams had a very big chance of winning the title. So no matter what time it will take, when that time comes, I think it's only good if we go back to the pitch and finish the 8 remaining games and see who's the champion and who's the top scorer.
Yeah, yes, Alan, I'm very impressed with some of the training you're doing indoors and outdoors with your family there, although it seems you've added a bit of weight there. Now, just moving on, Kakamega Homeboys, the club that you play for in the Kenyan Premier League, was the first team to take a pay cut voluntarily. Your club announced that players have taken a pay cut. How are you surviving amidst these financial challenges, and especially to your fellow players? How are you pulling up, and for how long will you probably be in this situation? How can you advise players, being an experienced player who's been in the game for long, you've invested a bit in the from the proceeds you've gotten from the game? How would you advise your fellow players, up and coming players, to cope up with this scenario, for example?
I can tell you for a fact it's something that is not easy, especially for players, because as we all know, in Kenya, players earn very little. And every day someone goes to the pitch out there, you train, you play on weekends, and you expect to get maybe winning bonuses. And when it reaches to a point that now you are told, like a club, you have to get that pay cut. You know, it's not easy, because most of the players I know from Kakamega Homeboys, most of them, they come from Nairobi. It means they have families in Nairobi, they pay rent in Nairobi, and since they are playing in Kakamega, they also have to pay rent in Kakamega. So if you are getting, maybe you are being paid 60,000, now you are being told you'll be paid 30,000. You have to pay rent in Nairobi and pay rent in Kakamega, take care of your family. Something that is not easy. So it's something that is driving most of the players into depression, and we're just praying and hoping that we overcome these things so that people's lives go back to normal.
Alan, stay safe, you and family, and we hope to see you back on the pitch banging in the goals soon. That's it for now. I'll take you back to studio with Joseph.
Thank you very much indeed, Kwalimwa. And I'm now joined by a veteran sports editor and journalist, Elias Makori. Now, good morning and welcome to your world, Makori. You've been covering sports for as long as we can remember. When was the last time you saw this kind of disruption to the sporting calendar? Stadiums shut, fans at home, no one running, no one playing. Can you remember when you ever had such a situation before?
Oh, well, Joseph, I really can't remember, because I'm not old enough to have been there in 1940 when the Olympics was cancelled because of the Second World War. But really, apart from isolated cases in cities like, in Japan, when there was the terrible earthquake that, shut down everything, there's really been nothing like this. This is totally unprecedented, and it was totally unexpected.
About the disruption to sports journalism in general, how has COVID-19 affected sports journalism?
Well, actually, like Gianni Melo said, you spoke to him earlier, a good friend of mine, Gianni. There's really been nothing to write about because there's no action on the pitch, and that's what we're all about. We're about writing about the action, writing about the athletes, the footballers, and all the sports people. But now with nothing to cover, really, it's been a totally difficult time for sports journalists. People have to come up with creative ways of filling in those pages and that airtime. And that's why you see, more of long reads, feature stories coming through. Like Jenny said, it's a time for journalists to be more innovative. This is a time when we should see those investigative pieces coming out. And really, it's very difficult, I must say, especially for the freelance journalists who depend solely on writing, on covering these events to earn a living.
And now, Makori, in terms of the sporting calendar for global and national associations and federations, etc., they're going to have a real headache in terms of rescheduling everything from football to athletics to world championships. It's going to be very messy when everything is pushed back.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, the Olympic Games, for one, was a very tough decision to make. And, it was wise that it was pushed to next summer, next year, which means now the federations can work backwards, the international federations. For example, I was speaking to Sebastian Coe, the president of World Athletics, and he said the team is now burning the midnight oil to see how they can reschedule events now that they know the Olympics is from July 29th next year. So they can work backwards. The World Championships for Athletics was supposed to be in August next year in Eugene, Oregon, and now has been pushed to 2022. So, it's like a jigsaw puzzle trying to fit in where events can go. Right here in Kenya, we were to have 3 major events, the Continental Tour Athletics on May 2nd, the Safari Rally July 16th to 19th, and indeed the World Under-20 Athletics from July 7th to 12th. These ones are in the back burner waiting for an opening to come so that they can be scheduled. So you can imagine what it means to the international and local calendars, especially that you don't know when this situation will be over. So it's a wait and see, game really.
Okay, Makori, stay with us. Now, dominating the ball between 4 walls and carrying baskets of water to strengthen their muscles, the Peruvian footballers train at home during the COVID-19 quarantine led by their technicians remotely. Although all national and international tournaments have been suspended since March in South America due to the emergence of the coronavirus, Peruvian First Division clubs do not want their players to lose their physical condition or technical skills. Some players use dumbbells or bottles filled with water and brooms to do aerobic work. The coach of the Peru team, Argentine Ricardo Gareca, says is also monitoring the health and physical condition of the players that he usually summons.
80% of our families live from hand to mouth.
Vitu kwa maduka inaendelea tu kupanda.
There's no money.
A 100% tax relief for persons earning gross monthly income.
By this particular proposal, Honorable Speaker, we are going to lose revenues to the tune of 49.5 billion shillings.
It's clear that our revenue streams are going to shrink.
We must expedite our ability to deliver this assistance.
It's a very good populist move, but in another 2-3 months, the Treasury will realize that they made a mistake on this one.
The funds belong to the people.
Okay, and now we cross over to Uganda. I'm joined by our reporter there, Walter Mwesije. Walter, good morning and welcome to your world again.
Good morning, Joseph. How are you doing?
Very well. Now, Uganda, you have an extended lockdown. What is not happening?
Yeah, I can tell you we are in day 7 of the extended 21-day lockdown, which will be ending on the 5th of May. And the reason for the extended lockdown, really, according to the Ministry of Health and, of course, the President, is to, extensively comb and, establish if there is any other community transmissions, of course, which we haven't seen here as a country. There has been some cases that have not been verified if they are really community cases. But of course, the scientists, on the other hand, are still finding out what exactly happened. For example, we had a case of an infected baby from one of the districts here in Uganda, but it wasn't established because the parents were not positive for COVID-19. But as we speak now, we have 56 cases and we have 38 recoveries. The recent case being a refugee from Burundi. And I can tell you that we haven't had many new cases from Uganda. Most of them have been truck drivers from Tanzania and Kenya. And, recently a Ugandan still who had traveled to Kenya and returned and tested positive for COVID-19.
How are they doing their testing? Do they have the capacity to do a lot more mass testing, for example? Walter, can you hear me? Sorry, Walter, good morning. Can you hear me now?
Well, Joseph, I can't seem to get through to your question, but probably I bet you really want to know what is going to happen in the 21-day lockdown. Of course, the ministry says that during this period, they are going to routinely test all health workers who are managing COVID-19 cases, and they will also do screening of all cargo transporters. And because this is now the biggest problem, Tanzania is still really open. Uganda has been under lockdown, but countries like Tanzania, Burundi, they are not implementing very stringent measures as Uganda is doing and probably Kenya has done also. So that is why, the border points now are the points of interest here in Uganda for the Ugandan authorities.
And so do they have the capacity to do a lot more testing, as you say? Walter, I bet it's a one-way conversation, but we got your answer. Thank you for that. Let me move to Makori, back to you again. We had Alan Wanga there talk about the mental state of athletes and even footballers. From people that you're speaking to in the sporting world, how are they looking after, it's a very stressful time. How are they taking care of their own, apart from the physical form, the mental form as well?
Well, it's also, part of a test of the character of an athlete. How mentally strong are you? Remember last year in October when Eliud ran the sub-2 marathon, he said it's not only the physical part of an athlete that makes him or her excel, but also the mental, part. So now the mental part of the athlete is really being put to the test because you see, you cannot go out there and train as a group. You don't have your pacemakers setting the pace for you. You don't have your coach following you in a pickup truck, to monitor your pace and give you water. So mentally for the athlete, it's very intense at the moment, and I'm sure lots of reading, like Peter Ndiyu, the coach said, the physio said earlier, a lot of training at home, but it has to be tailor-made training, and that's where the physical trainers who have been the unsung heroes come into play. people like Peter Nduyu, people like Imani, who's been contracted by the National Olympic Committee, to come up with bespoke training programs for the athletes. So a very big test of character, and I'll be very interested to see how the athletes come out of this. Some will make it, some will break, unfortunately.
Okay, stay with us, Makori, thank you. Now, Liverpool Football Club first team players thanked the local National Health Service team for the good work it's been doing to combat the pandemic. The team showed its appreciation by paying and delivering chocolate hampers to 14 hospitals, that's 200 wards across Liverpool. Here are some of the players' appreciation messages.
Hi everyone, it's Jordan Henderson. On behalf of all the Liverpool players, we just want to say a big thank you for all the work that you're doing. You're doing an amazing job and we're all right behind you. So we got you something little just to say thank you, and we really do appreciate everything you are doing. So I hope you get some time to enjoy that and enjoy them treats.
Just wanted to say thank you so much for everything that you're doing for us. You're the real heroes and we really appreciate everything that you're doing. At Liverpool, we just wanted to send a gesture just to make sure that you're keeping the spirits high at this difficult time, and hopefully this is able to do that for you. We know it's such a difficult time for you, but the main message is to stay safe, try and stay as healthy as possible, and remember, you'll never walk alone.
We cannot thank you enough for the job that you guys are doing in this incredibly difficult time. You guys are the real heroes, trust me. So as at LFC, wanted to just show our appreciation and give this small gift that can hopefully help you get through the long hours that you are working just now. So we hope you enjoy the chocolates and hopefully this is all over soon.
Okay, Makori, these are my people, so thank you, Liverpool. Now, coming back to the local scene, we've seen people like Eliud, who's recorded a message for NTV encouraging people, how to stay safe during this pandemic. Where are our other sportsmen and women? Could they be also coming out like Liverpool to do similar gestures?
I think they should, really they should, because these are the very fans who come to the stadiums, stand by the roadside to cheer them on when they are competing. These are their fans who are in need. Many of these athletes earn a very good, amount. They can't say exactly that they're poor. They earn into the millions of shillings. And it's really time for them to come up and support the rest of society who are underprivileged. Liverpool and indeed most of the clubs in Europe and the rest of the world have very good CSR programs where they come out and give thanks, say thank you to their fans whenever there's a time for need. It's been a ritual at Liverpool. I know you know that, Joseph, that they go to the Elderhay Hospital. You've just seen those clips every Christmas and give the kids in the cancer unit, some gifts and, mentor them, give them inspirational talk. We need to see more of our athletes coming up. I know Eliud is working on something. There's some other athletes who, really, they just keep their money in the bank and they do nothing for the fans who are the reason why they are.
Yeah, and Peter, talking about athletes' earnings, we always seem to focus on the big names like Eliud and so on. But there are, young athletes who are trying to make a start, who have no money, who come from very humble backgrounds. And now this is certainly a big blow for them, this pandemic.
Yeah, Joseph, I can tell you it is a huge problem because every other year you'll find new athletes who are coming into the picture. They have a very humble background. Getting a training shoe is an issue. Getting a meal is an issue. Getting where to train and to be accommodated and to be trained by somebody with knowledge of how to train one is a very difficult thing. Now you find some of them were preparing to go for their first race of their life out there, and all is scheduled, and then Corona comes in and deletes the ambition or that experience of at least getting an earning of some sort. It is very important that actually some particular measures are put into place to support these kind of athletes so that we don't lose them at the end in the whole mix-up. The amount possibly the government is able to release to them would go a long way, at least even if it's a stipend of some sort to help them out. The well-established athletes, well, those ones are okay. yeah, at least for the time being, they should be able to hold fort for themselves and still even assist the others. Like I have heard earlier saying, it is paramount that they come out and encourage those ones who are coming out that all is not lost. They still have a chance. After this, they still come back and participate. And we really need to support them. Whatever little way one can be able to do to support this athlete is very important. I have handled volleyballers as well for a long time. And I can tell you what, most of them do not have jobs. You see, football is the same thing. So in essence, a majority of our sportsmen are actually struggling out there.
Yeah, and now, Makori, back to you on this issue. We've seen the government make a pledge to, boost the income of artists in the creative industry. Any sense that the sporting world could get a boost from government?
Yeah, what I know is that the government, is working on something, and like I say, with authority, because I'm privy to this information, that they're trying to work out a way of helping the most vulnerable sports people. But there's somewhere to start from. There's what we call used to be called the sports fund, but now it's the sports culture and social welfare fund, where 60% is meant to go to sport, and I think 35 goes to to social welfare. And sorry, it's the other way around: 60% to social welfare, which includes medical and health, 35% to sport, and the remaining 5% to the arts. And that's why you saw the president recently vote 100 million for artists. This is purely from the 5% meant for the artists. So we are yet to see the 35% meant for sports people brought into play. And I know the government has already asked the federations to give a list of names of people who really deserve, who are really in need and need to be bailed out. And that should be rolling out pretty soon.
And David, to you as well, if you can chip in terms of helping the sports industry to stay alive, any thoughts?
Yes, it is just what should happen, in my opinion, because athletes right now are really suffering across the board, as we've had several times in this show. The government needs to come up with a way in which it can try and sustain sportsmen and women who've done the country proud time and again in the past, and put Kenya on the international calendar. Also to consider is that athletes, most of them are youth, and they wholly rely on their income from the pitch, from the courts, from the tennis courts, and from the track to survive. So when this is taken away for a period of 1, 2, 3, 4 months, then they begin to struggle, and we will not wish to speculate what happens thereafter. So it's really up to the government, and not only the government, like-minded individuals, policymakers, the corporate world, to come together and see how they could be in a position to sustain the athletes, at least for the duration of the coronavirus pandemic.
Now, Elias Makori, back to you. There is life after corona, and now I know you're also a big mentor to many. There will be young sports journalists or journalists-to-be who are watching us right now and wondering, without any games to report on, what should they be doing as they wait for the world, our new normal, to become the other normal, whatever that will be after corona pandemic?
Well, actually, I'd advise them to do a lot of reading, take this opportunity to read, because, we are indoors. There's a lot of sports literature online and, everywhere. I'd encourage them to read, get up to date with the world of sport. Like myself now, I've been actually on leave for the last 4 weeks. I've been indoors, and I've been doing nothing apart from reading. At the moment, I'm reading a book about hooliganism. It's called The Legends of the Farm, hooliganism in England. So all sorts of topics, read widely, and you come out the wiser. When the COVID is gone, you'll have better language, you'll have better information, more informed, and really you'll have a better appreciation of the world.
Makori, have you had challenges with hooligans?
Yeah, I mean, actually, one of my first assignment in Khartoum, that was in the Omdurman Stadium in 1994. I think Gor Mahia was playing in the Sekafa Challenge Cup, and there was violence in the stadium. tear gas, and we had to run out of the stadium. The funny thing, Omdurman is somewhere I don't know about. I don't speak Arabic, so I found myself in the estates running wildly. Everybody speaking Arabic. I didn't know how to express myself, so somehow I made my way back to the stadium and got into the Gor Mahia team bus and drove back to the hotel in Khartoum.
Thank you for that. Now, Peter Ndohio, maybe in terms of your, as we come to draw to a close, some final thoughts from you. There will be young upcoming athletes or sports people who want to stay informed and who also wants to stay away from injury. And there are people at home with their own small gyms and makeshift equipment. Your advice to them in terms, as we come to a close, your tips as a physiotherapist?
Yes. Now, I would advise particularly, let me start with the people at home. The people at home train, yes, in a safe environment. Do not overdo things, all right? Also, do not stay idle. Every day, make a point of setting aside about 30 minutes also for your workout. It will be good for your health. It will keep the doctor away, and it will keep your mental status at a very comfortable point. You forget all else and do the exercises. Okay. There's the young men and the women who are actually training out there. Just be careful. Don't overdo things. Train, yes. Follow it out with your coaches, your trainers, your physiotherapists, because they should be very near you at this particular time.
And pace yourself.
Yes, and pace yourself. Do not actually be over-enthusiastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Peter Ndohio, thank you very much indeed for sparing time to come and speak to us. Most of the time you're with Eliud Kipchoge helping to prepare for big marathons. You prepared us for your world this morning. There are a couple of messages just before I close the show that have come from you on #NewNormal. Any thoughts? Yes, there's one here from Tabzi Tab Kibali. Window shopping. I really miss this sport. That is a sport. Okay. And there's another here. Sports you've missed. Moredi Mutuma. Anything that makes me stay outdoors until 10 p.m., I am missing that. And there's another one here from Amina Abdul. Going to the mosque every Friday. That's what I miss the most. Another comment from Michael Ocheng. I miss my football, my favorite teams across the globe. Yeah, we were with you on that. And Karanja Emma, you say football, Bayern versus Chelsea, Arsenal versus Man City. Okay, I hear you. We've also got Elishama, all the best, King Wanga. That's a message to Alan Wanga, I'm sure. And then Rich Nick, you're saying, sir, that amount is too much. I beg to inform you that there are people earning less than 20K. That's a discussion about players taking a pay cut. We also have got George Kitao. 60,000 is very little. Do you know families are earning 6,000 shillings for a living? Wow. Okay, we hear you, George Kitao. And then we've also got Jay. You say cat and mouse games with my boss. That's what you miss the most. Wanje John, Diamond League. Well, that is not happening now. You missed that. Frank, you say Premier League. Game ya Chelsea. You ndio na miss. Yeah, okay. Sawa. And then Hamisi Charo, Taekwondo. I missed that. Wow. Okay, you guys, you miss everything. Taekwondo. And Beverly Veranduta, you say running late to work, literally. Okay, thank you very much indeed. Peter Ndohio, Elias Makori, the Nation Media Group sports editor. We also had David joining me as a co-presenter. And on behalf of the entire team here at Your World, we'll be back tomorrow with a bit of activity at 6:30 in the morning with Tizi Nyumbani. Till then, enjoy your day. Stay safe. And yes, just before I go, let me take a minute and appreciate everyone who is moving around the clock to ensure that we curb the COVID-19 pandemic. When we started the show, we asked you to send us a video mentioning someone you appreciate during this pandemic, now followed by a round of applause. So this is what you had for us, and thank you very much indeed. So thank you for watching.
Everybody who is trying his or her best to fight the COVID-19. We are here all as Kenyans to appreciate you. We say thank you for all your committing yourself to help to save Kenyan lives. We appreciate you. We love you so much. May God bless you. May God give you strength, and may God keep on guiding you. We love you guys.
My name is Joanne Tukamuranga. I want to say thank you to the nurses, to the doctors for risking your lives to ensure that the Kenyans are safe. I also want to thank you guys, you media people, asanteni sana, because you're making sure that we are updated. Sisi tuko Ushago, as you can see, tuko Gishagile, we're in the countryside, and we are staying safe because we don't want to risk. We can do this, we'll overcome.
This is Benjamin Ondieki. Yes, I'm a trainer in the hospitality industry and also a counselor. This afternoon, I will wish to applaud the medics and those individuals, the various individuals who have played a major role in curbing up this pandemic of coronavirus.